Hello, I'm Chad Awalt, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I work in wood sculpture, I do oil painting and photography. I like to do digital edits on my photography. Wood is a material that just brings out such a response in people. It's something that just beautiful and organic about it, obviously. I basically use a pointing up system. I've attached a chainsaw to my pointing up system. It's nothing I invented. Michelangelo pointed up to do his marble sculptures. I do it to use my logs. The lumber that anybody else would want for perfect lumber is not what I want. I'm looking for the tree that struggled. It's the defects and things that happen to that tree all leave marks that show, and the part of the tree that has those defects, it might even might have been part of it rotting away or ants eating away at it, and just where it had broken once and healed over, just leaves these beautiful patterns in the wood. They're just like spectacular. Everything that happens to us in life leaves a mark of some sort, whether it's emotional or physical, and trees are the same way. The initial process of inspiration comes from want the piece to have this energy of life to it. There's a little phrase I heard from an artist years ago. It's like, draw the life first. First motivation is finding that energy and life in the subject that I'm working with. And the second aspect too, when I'm working with a subject and a model, I look for somebody who has these beautiful landmarks of light and shadow. That phases into looking for the piece of wood that just is perfect for, then it reaches this kind of physical form of just, I've got the study, I've got the piece of wood, I've got to get that form out of it now. It's just a matter of kind of then copying it and getting the figure pose out of it. And then it kind of comes back to this energy phase again. That final step goes clear back to the first one, draw the life first. You know, the energy has to be in the piece. Art is communication. It's like I could sit here and make stuff all day long and never show it to anybody, and I feel like I'm not an artist if I do that, because nobody else has experienced it but me. So that's just me making stuff. Every time I make something, it's in the back of my mind that this is going to communicate with somebody. That's what motivates me now. Just have confidence in what you do and put it out there. Not everybody has to like it, even if you get some negative feedback. The worst art you can do is the stuff that everybody walks by and doesn't notice. That's when you probably failed at something, because if you didn't communicate with anybody, then your visual message just isn't being heard. You know, most of us just struggle, it seems like, with self-doubt. Sometimes not being able to turn it off. As an artist, you see people that come home from their jobs and mow the lawn and relax and go out there. It's, you know, they probably just put their day behind them. I think there's times you envy people who can turn off what they do during the day and get on with their personal life or whatever, and not have it all be so intermixed. Part of the way we think that drives us is that we're just constantly thinking about things. We're looking at the world, or just analyzing the world. I always say, if you go to college, don't study art, study science if you want to be an artist. Like, the more you learn about the world, the better artist you are. It's, you can learn the techniques in other places. The best thing about being an artist is when you do it every day and you're dependent on it, it's not fun, but it's rewarding. When you step back and just see what you accomplished, have something visual left of your work at the end of the day, that's rewarding. The other thing then that's most rewarding is when people respond to it positively. I feel like as an artist, half the reason you got to be where I'm at with the medium I work with is because I just couldn't settle. I was already good at one thing. I could have kept just doing that and done fine. It just has this obsession with constantly learning something new. Every time I see something different, it just leads me, how did they do that? And finally I'm exploring, even if I'm not going to do it myself, I'm trying to figure out how they did it. My daughters started pursuing artwork just as children, so I started oil painting, just so my kids would be around it. I've been painting for 15 years, and the surprise was, like, the studying painting improved my sculpture, so it was definitely one of those things makes you realize just do as much as possible, because everything you learn is going to help you. In development of photography, it initially started as studies for paintings. It just challenges my ADD, because when you're on the computer, there are so many options between in Photoshop or just distractions when you're on the computer. You go from something like a painting, it's developing. You have a color palette you've decided on. It's just developed slowly and evenly, and the choice you made is the choice you made. In Photoshop, your choice can change 100 times. And the fact that it can change 100 times makes you feel like I want to see what all 99 other versions. Before I realized that the things I was preparing, trying to get it as close to what I wanted as a painting, I realized it was a great photograph, and it was a great piece of artwork just right off the computer. I feel like there's a lot of things that just lead to things that you didn't expect. Art is important to me because there's just like, it's just like a dialogue in my head going off all the time. It just feels like it's something I have to share. It's almost like a conversation in your head. It's not an actual voice, but it's just, but it feels like it. It just feels like you're talking to the world and the world's talking back. And it's telling you something that you're supposed to tell everybody else. I can't write, I can't sing, I can't play an instrument, but I can sculpt, I can paint. And so that's how I tell the story, and that's why it's important to me.